You know, it's crazy. I'm in this very modern city, this very forward-looking country with all of its neon and its insanely fast Wi-Fi. There's almost no crime to speak of. The people are unfailingly kind and polite. And yet when I told folks at home that I was coming here, I got a lot of, "Are you sure you want to go there right now?" Well, why not? Well, because this is South Korea. And I think from afar, folks expect a certain amount of tension.
Doesn't there have to be tension? Is there anything we feared more than a madman with a nuke? Is that what South Korea has poised right outside the back door? I mean, how do you solve a problem like Korea? When you're in Seoul, you're all of about 40 miles from likely the most heavily armed border in the world. Seoul is all sparkle and the magic of a lot of ones and zeros, and there sits North Korea with its 25 million people, many of whom we assume are starving for food, for information, for dignity. So it has to be tense here, but I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be looking for. Tracers across the sky? Looks of stark terror on the faces of passers-by? Maybe streets emptying as people race home to be with their loved ones? Nah, I didn't see any of that.
I'm sure you've noticed on the streets of Korea that you didn't really see one scared person.
It's amazing.
It is amazing.
Jian Chun is back in her native South Korea after living for 16 years in Detroit. She and her husband Suwon invited us to a lovely dinner her parents wanted to cook for us. 4 generations under one roof. Not unusual at all here. And they're clearly too busy just being a normal, loving family to spend a lot of time worrying about nuclear annihilation.
Yes, you guys might feel that we're all oblivious. And in a way, maybe we are. But I think we've been carrying this luggage or this worry for more than 60 years now. So it's become a part of our lives. And you know, what are you going to do, right?
So when things happen like like another missile test, that just doesn't seem to register here as meaning anything?
Missile tests, not so much, because there have been hundreds.
Yeah.
I would imagine hundreds of them.
Ji Ho-yu is a reporter for the Yonhap news agency. He's been on the Olympic beat for several years now. While he's been thinking about the venue preparation and the prospects for the South Korean short track speed skating team, he says one of the goals of the Games has to be to tell the world to calm down.
Just to get rid of the perception that this is a dangerous place to travel to.
You don't walk around all day checking the sky for missile smoke.
I don't. I can't speak for everyone, but I don't.
That is not the outlier opinion. In my many conversations with South Koreans, it came up a lot. Aren't you a little worried about North Korea?
For us, this political tension on the peninsula is part of our daily lives. So I suppose we don't feel it as much.
We've grown callous to it. It's more so like, oh, the crazy guy up north, right? South Korea is probably the most calm country in the world about the whole North Korea tension, right? I think the most freaked out nation would be the Americans. And I was freaked out too until I started really seeing it for myself.
To find a more sober assessment, I had to go to Ban Ki-moon, the former Secretary General of the United Nations.
It's not because people are not concerned, they are not expressing concern. Normally, Korean people are sometimes shy in expressing all this.
And that's probably part of it. It would be bad form to just run around in a panic, and you really don't see South Koreans falling into bad form. But you know, technically, the Korean War never actually ended. After 3 years, the two sides signed a ceasefire, which is what is basically in effect today. It's never been cozy, but those missile launches and the nuclear saber rattling are a new chapter in a very long, very tense book.
Definitely, this is one of the worst situations since the end of Korean War. while Korea has never been perfectly peaceful. But this is really a difficult timing. Even during the height of Cold War, United States and Soviet Union and other nuclear power states, no nuclear power state has ever declared that they would use nuclear weapons unless they are attacked by nuclear weapons. It's only North Korea, they have been publicly saying that they will strike the heart of the United States with the nuclear weapons. So this is very threatening, very alarming.
Threatening, alarming, two words the International Olympic Committee tries to avoid in all of its brochures. But yes, the Olympic flame will be lit just 50 miles from the Korean DMZ. Insert your own joke here about what that flame might look like. It's okay. South Koreans have heard all of the dark jokes. But with talks between the two Koreas leading to the participation of North Korea in the Games, well, maybe the Olympics are laying claim to their long-held ideal of 2 weeks of competition away from the issues and bitterness that often divide our world. Maybe. That's the Korean aim, and that's why these are being called the Peace Games. When the Summer Games arrived in Seoul in 1988, South Korea was a blank canvas to many. For most Americans, Korea was mostly the backdrop for the TV show MASH. MASH, the epic television series that lasted 8 years longer than the Korean War that served as its backdrop. Seoul 88 changed that.
Right, I mean, it really puts Seoul on the map. It was a perfect storm. It came on the heels of back-to-back Olympic Games that were boycotted by different blocks of the world. For them to sort of showcase their ability to host an event of that magnitude really helped the city and also the country itself.
30 years later, no such identity crisis to deal with. The canvas isn't blank anymore. Maybe there's K-pop on your Samsung phone. Maybe there's Korean barbecue sizzling on your LG range. Or maybe you just decide to pick up carryout in your Hyundai. Korea doesn't need the introduction it once did. But your impressions might need a slight course correction. Maybe the Olympics can help that. In fact, maybe the next 3 Olympics can help that.
A lot of people have problems distinguishing between different Asian countries. So for us, it's a great opportunity to be able to really show what Korea is all about and how special Korea is. And then after us, Japan will have the opportunity to show the world what Japan is all about. And then after that, China will have the opportunity to show the world what China is all about. So I really think it's a great opportunity for us to start this era of Asian Olympics and really show what Korean culture, Korean technology, Korean music, Korean cuisine, what it's all about.
What is it all about? Well, that's what I came here to find out. This little nation, tucked between a global behemoth and a temperamental loudmouth brother, is a nation about the size of Kentucky. But it punches way above its weight class. And with the Olympics on deck, it's clearer than ever that South Korea is rising. Coming up, the rise that came so quickly, the export of South Korean culture from K-pop to bibimbap, and we'll take you to the DMZ, where North Koreans have been willing to die on the run rather than live in desperation.
There was a time when buying something made in Korea wasn't exactly reaching for the top shelf, but today, well, LG makes the TV that is the highest rated ever by CNET. I don't know how many appliances you might have in your house made by Samsung. They build everything from ships to skyscrapers as well. And consider this beautiful luxury car, the Genesis, which was the luxury brand spun off by Hyundai. The rise of South Korea has been extraordinary.
Just 20, 30 years after the war, it was all about just put your head down, just keep working. So there was a sort of the country nationwide value attached to just work ethic, just keep digging on your way out of the I guess the remains of the devastating war.
South Korea doesn't have any natural resources, so for a nation to be able to go from a country that was poorer, less well off than even Ghana in 30 years ago in terms of GDP is now top 12, top 15 GDP in the world. without any natural resources.
Tim Che is the 26-year-old venture capitalist spearheading the 500 Kimchi Microfund. He's part of why the New York Times sees Seoul as a rival to Silicon Valley. And Che has brought an American-style view to Korea's growing startup culture. His offices on Seoul's Google campus have all the earmarks of cool success, but mingled with the Korean ethic. Note the work hard, stay humble on the wall.
Korea really symbolizes what tremendously sort of human thought capabilities and intelligence and will and effort could lead and change a country to be in a very short time, in just one generation.
We are entering what some call the fourth industrial revolution. If the first was steam and water, and the second was powered by electricity, and the third was electronic, then this fourth is digital, and one in which the lines between the real and virtual worlds get pretty blurry. And South Korean President Moon Jae-in is dialed in, wanting his nation to be true fourth revolutionaries, to lead the way in digital innovation and artificial intelligence. And to understand the Korean obsession with AI, you have to go back about 2 years to a televised spectacle in Korea, a showdown over the ancient Chinese game of Go.
Please start the game.
The nation was dialed in, watching the challenge between man and a computer called AlphaGo.
When AlphaGo beat Korea's biggest Go player, and they just understood the power of AI just in person that way.
Congratulations to AlphaGo for an amazingly well-played game.
It's probably one of the most watched, streamed events, right, in Korea. It's such a unique thing, people watching Go online.
Go is an extremely intricate game, but it relies as much on intuition as calculation, and that a computer could learn to intuit as a human does kind of rocked the Korean world. And it seemed to again ignite the Korean imagination. Che says that because the high-tech building blocks under Korean society are so robust, society just keeps jumping on the next thing.
When you live in a country like that and you're surrounded by internet speeds that's probably 10 times faster than the rest of the world, and then you're able to come up with different ways, and you have this unlocks this potential ingredient, and you can sort of create a whole new recipe out of those things because the rest of the world doesn't have it.
For a long time now, long before the West caught on, Koreans have filled stadiums to watch e-sport battles. StarCraft has been called Korea's unofficial national sport. Listen to these commentators losing it as a battle reaches its crescendo. I want those guys covering the half-pipe in PyeongChang. But as they have for so long, South Koreans embrace technology and innovation with gusto. I'll admit to a little tech envy. It seemed like everyone in Seoul has a cooler phone than I do. All to connect to a very accessible and fast pipeline. Wi-Fi that is not just speedy, but abundant.
Best connected place in the world. You could just literally walk down the street, you get free Wi-Fi connection. You can go to the subway, high-speed train, you get a Wi-Fi connection anywhere.
In fact, the promise of fast, free Wi-Fi was actually part of the South Korean Olympic bid, which might not be all that impressive until you remember they made that bid 7 years ago. They were thinking ahead.
Access to all of that information, I think, in South Korea, it's a given.
It's almost an overload, if you ask me. Because we're connected anywhere we go.
That's good and bad, right?
It's almost a shackle sometimes.
In the smartphone world, Apple seems to get the attention, but Samsung cashes the checks. In 2016, Samsung shipped more than 300 million phones, beating Apple by, gulp, 100 million phones. Interesting note though, if you've ever found yourself trying to decide between a Samsung and an Apple phone, just know that Apple phones run on chips made by Samsung. So even when they lose, Samsung wins, which is, pretty good as business models go. Weird thing about Seoul though, for all of its forward thinking, there's no Google Maps here. You can thank North Korea for that. South Korea sees the precision mapping as a security risk. They've also struggled with Uber. The government isn't wild about private vehicles being used for commercial purposes, though you can get Uber Black here. But the stumbles may have to do with the pace of change. Ban Ki-moon sees mostly the upside of this gush of technology.
With all this rapid economic development and the transformative development of technology, particularly in the area of information and communication, the needs and aspirations of people have been very much diversified.
But on the other hand,
In the course of this, unfortunately, we are now experiencing some bipolarization of our society between the rich and the poor, between the management and the labor, between the young and the old generation. And there is increasing disparity of incomes.
sound like anyone you know? Coming up, the coming together of the North and South Korean Olympic teams. Has to be good, right? Well, no, not to everyone. And as we arrive in the Olympic city of PyeongChang, it takes us closer to our checkpoint along the world's most famous border.
It's just like every other Olympics, the building and the construction's going to go right up until the games begin. But it's interesting, 4 years ago I was in Sochi, Russia, and all anybody could talk about was the $55 billion that had been spent to make them the most expensive Olympics ever. 2 years ago in Rio, there was a fair amount of anger there. No one was sure that it was wise to spend all that money on an Olympics in a country that's so poverty-stricken. But here in South Korea, hardly a peep about the money that's been spent. Now, is that just good Korean manners, or has South Korea just figured something out?
So for Koreans in general, we're really excited that this is all happening after 30 years. It's really a great honor to have the Games back in Korea.
That's a big part of it. This is not Korea's first go-round. Those 88 games put Korea on the map. And unlike the sad condition of venues in places like Athens or even more recently Rio, Seoul put on a clinic on how to create a lasting legacy.
All of those venues are being used today. Even the villages, the apartments that are used as villages, they are now very prestigious apartments. So of course, this isn't Seoul, this is PyeongChang. It's a little bit different, but we're still hoping that the legacy of the Winter Games still continues.
But even with the example of Seoul, there are worries. The layout and the demands of the games are very different today.
People are more worried about the Winter Olympics than excited, to be honest. There have been a lot of news articles lately saying, what are we going to do with all these facilities?
And while they had to deal with an unruly North Korea back in '88, it wasn't quite like this. Whether you consider it just bluster or truly threatening, all of that talk from Kim Jong-un last year hardly seemed like a preamble to a nice Olympic embrace between the two Koreas. But just weeks before the Games, something extraordinary happened. The two sides actually sat down to talk to each other at Panmunjom, a village that actually sits inside the DMZ. That location is noteworthy because, for one thing, it's the only place where North and South Koreans stand face to face, though they are soldiers. And just 2 months before those talks, in that same place, this happened. His name is Oh Chung-song. The North Korean soldier got in a jeep and made a mad, some would argue suicidal, dash for freedom. But after the jeep landed in a ditch, he had to run for it, and that meant a storm of gunfire from his fellow soldiers. I tend to imagine they were both wishing him luck and yet panicked that they would be held responsible for his escape. They fired at least 40 rounds at him, and 5 times the bullets struck their target.
It does seem like there is an intense fascination with this North Korean soldier who made it across the DMZ. It feels like everybody's been sort of watching that very closely and feels it's very compelling, isn't it?
It's a compelling story. I don't believe I've seen anything like that before.
We consider ourselves a freedom-loving people, but very few of us have ever had to crawl for it. Collapsing in a pile of leaves just across the South Korean border, Oh lost more than half of the blood in his body. South Korean soldiers got to him and delivered him to a hospital, and that's where Dr. Lee Kuk-jong was waiting. He saved the soldier's life and then launched a new kind of K-drama as the nation was transfixed by the daily progress reports on the recovering soldier.
He had a dream that he was kidnapped to North Korea again, so that's why I'd like to let him know that you are in South Korea now and you are very, very safe.
We've had a lot of, obviously, defectors come over across the border, but for an active serviceman over in North to actually run across the very tense DMZ area and take shots, pretty much risk his life to come over here. Yes, it's been a really compelling story.
And against that compelling life or death drama, seeing the two sides sitting across from each other and putting together a joint Olympic team was all the more startling. And it means PyeongChang, as cold as it is, will try to serve as the heating pad that might allow Korean tensions to thaw. But the meshing of the North and South Korean teams has not so far been the kumbaya moment you might have expected. Moving North Koreans onto the women's hockey team seemed to many unfair to the South Korean players who'd made the team. And it didn't help when the South Korean Prime Minister suggested, well, we weren't in contention for a medal anyway. Whoops. The games are tucked into the northeast corner of the country, unfamiliar surroundings for many Koreans, much less the travelers coming from abroad. The ice venues are in Gangneung, PyeongChang's neighbor. This is Choi Sung-il, the town's director general. Company's coming, and he and the town are ready to work it.
We've been preparing a SMILE campaign, which is preparing oneself for the people that will come for the Olympics, and I think that'll really help the other foreigners how they will look Korea. It's true that the world knows about Korea and about Seoul as well, but not a lot of people know about Gangneung, so that's our main objective, to promote Gangneung as a city to the world, and for the Olympics, but after the Olympics as well, so that tourists come to Gangneung after the Games.
By the way, don't expect any Rio-style issues with being ready. Most of the venues we toured looked like they just needed their hair combed and they're ready to go. If you're looking for an international rooting interest, you might consider the South Korean men's hockey team.
The opportunity came. One of my friends, good friends of mine, he was part of the Korean Ice Hockey Association, gave me a call and said, "Are you free?"
That's Jim Pak. Born in Seoul, raised in Canada, he became the first player of Korean descent to play in the NHL. And after spending years as an assistant with the Grand Rapids Griffins, he now finds himself the head coach of the home team for the Olympics.
I always think, because I've covered a lot of Olympics, and when you're the host country, the pressure to do well really ratchets up a lot. Are you sensing that?
Pressure's man-made, right? So, but there is a lot of pressure. In this culture, winning is everything. And it's not about the process, or it's just the result, it seems. Did you win or lose?
He's working on creating a culture of winning in his program, and he's trying to build it on all he learned from the winged wheel.
That experience in Detroit, seeing how a first-class organization's run, how the staff is run, how the players act, that's helped me a tremendous amount being here and passing that on.
The Detroiter in you will also want to keep an eye on the ice dance team of Gamlin and Min.
Yeah, especially because it's a home Olympics for us. We really wanted to showcase...
Wait, what?
Yeah, especially because it's a home Olympics for us.
That's what I thought you said. Well, for Alexander Gamlin and Yura Min, it is a home Olympics. They're all decked out in the gear of the South Korean Olympic team. From the Novi Skating Club to PyeongChang with a stopover at the Korean Embassy to apply for citizenship. The U.S. ice dancing team is talented and deep, not easy to make the Olympic squad, but Yura had another option for them to consider. She was born and raised in the U.S., but was never far from her family's Korean roots.
Korean was my first language before I went to school and everything, and my mom always taught me, you're Korean and you need to learn Korean and you need to know about the culture and everything, so I grew up very familiar with Korean culture.
She also grew up with dual citizenship, and if Alexander was willing, he could have it too, and he was. Though it is more than filling out a form. Along with learning Korean,
I had to memorize the national anthem and all the holidays and monuments and all that stuff. So
you actually have to sing the national anthem to someone.
I did, yeah.
How'd that go?
But he memorized the entire anthem, and he only had to sing the first verse. So he was like, "I memorized the whole thing. Can I just sing it?"
The whole thing is almost 4 minutes long, and I memorized the entire thing. And they were like, "Please sing the first verse."
He's like, "What?"
And I was like, "Can I just sing the whole thing? Spend so much time memorizing it all."
Can you give me just a line or two?
Oh no.
Action.
Oh really? Oh, okay. 동해 물과 백두산이
no matter who they're skating for, they know where they'll be training, and that is Detroit, which has become a capital of the skating world. None of the athletes or officials I talked to seemed the least bit worried about their safety. They profess a trust in security, which sounds odd. I think of security as metal detectors. I don't know what you put up for missiles. But then again,
I get phone calls almost every day from my family in Canada and family in the States. They said, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" Yeah, nothing's wrong here. To me, I hear all the natural disasters going on in the rest of the world and things, the news going on there. It seems like this is a pretty safe place.
it's a cool place too. Funky, stylish, and oh so tasty. We'll dig into whatever you call that when we return from South Korea.
Gangnam Style. Gangnam Style.
Yeah, that was us. We were driving through the Gangnam area of Seoul, and it seemed like a good idea at the time. But the Gangnam Style video is the third most watched video in the history of YouTube. And when that song came out in the summer of 2012, it went over like free candy. Well, it turns out there was a lot more inside the Korean candy store.
You might struggle to find Korea on a map, but you won't struggle to find Korean culture. And with no tariffs to pay, no shipping costs, it's a powerful export for a country that, as Tim Che pointed out earlier, has no natural resources.
So then what do we do? As a nation that's not that big, a 50 million medium-sized country, what are we able to do to sort of advance this country forward? It's probably going to be through soft exports, like soft culture, like K-pop, K-drama, Korean food.
Oppan Gangnam Style.
We all expected Psy's big hit to be a one-off, I imagine, something like the Macarena taking over and then evaporating. That has not been the K-pop story. It just kept coming, and now groups like the 7-member boy band BTS are even showing up on American awards shows, girls screaming as they sing along in Korean. They are a bona fide worldwide phenomenon. Almost to prove that K-pop is everywhere, while we were touring the Olympic venues, we came across a reality show taping a segment with a famous Korean sports play-by-play guy, and So-hee Kim, a K-pop star, I'm told is on the rise. And in true K-pop Asian television chaotic fashion, sure, let's bring in the American TV guy we don't know from Adam.
안녕하세요. And that's the extent of my Korean.
Our play-by-play man is, of course, thrilled to cover an Olympics at home. And when I asked So-hee Kim about the worldwide audience about to drop in on the home of K-pop,
멋진 실력을 발휘하셔서 모두들 금메달을 타셨으면 좋겠습니다. 네, K-pop 스타 가수 대표로서 응원하겠습니다.
I don't think I need that translated. I think I got that all figured out.
Her excitement is well-founded. Visitors to Korea will find that K-pop infects everything, from fashion to advertising. They even blast the stuff into North Korea from huge speakers like these along the DMZ. It was one of the things North Korean soldier Oh Chong-song wanted to hear as proof that he was in South Korea when he woke up. Like New York, Seoul seems to be a city that doesn't sleep, only here, that's a literal description. The residents of Seoul average less than 6 hours of sleep a night.
Oh, it's a very fast-moving city, isn't it? Very dynamic, very vibrant. There's a lot happening in the city, a lot of news.
Who has time to sleep? How else to work a long day and still be able to take part in that great Korean pastime of tying one on? Yes, it takes just the smallest exposure to Korean nightlife to catch on to an important part of Korean life.
People drink a lot here.
They drink a lot. Yeah, until the world ends.
Yes, Koreans are ready to drink you under the table. A lot of it is tied to your job. A night of drinking is as corporate here as a board meeting.
It's a culture. My dad, he worked at Samsung. Which is known to be a very hardcore company that I don't think He always came home after I went to bed. Let's put it that way.
They love beer. In fact, our first night in Seoul, we were introduced to
chicken and beer.
Chicken and beer is the staple of the baseball parks.
Chicken and beer? You had me at hello. It's an actual thing here, and maybe the first sign for Americans that, this might be a really good place to hang out for a while. Now, on the wiser side, there is generally food to cut the alcohol, but goodness, there is a lot of alcohol to cut. And they love the hard stuff too. In fact, South Koreans consume more hard liquor per person than any other country. I spent a fair amount of time in Russia watching people wash down vodka like it was water. I was shocked to learn that South Koreans drink twice as much liquor as Russians, and it mostly boils down to soju. Soju is a distilled rice spirit that goes down way too smoothly. And for the 11th year in a row, the best-selling liquor in the world is Jinro Soju. Or try a bomb shot, a shot of soju in a beer, mixed with a loud crashing spoon. Be careful though, because one too many of these, and all of a sudden your photographer starts shooting things upside down. They also fuel up in the opposite direction, coffee. Seoul is home to more Starbucks than any other city. I don't mean per capita or anything, no. There are more Starbucks shops in Seoul than any other city in the world. But enough beverage talk. Let's eat. Just now, Korea is one of the high churches of gastronomy. And we made our way to the altar again and again and again. There was a time when Korean food only seemed to mean kimchi, the fermented cabbage dish. Its popularity has exploded all over the world, which actually amuses some Koreans.
I mean, kimchi is not really the sort of the entree, if you will. It's not the sushi or the Chinese dish. It's just a side dish that we usually consume with a bowl of rice. Yeah. So it's not really something you can just eat on its own.
But they eat a lot of it. The average Korean puts away 40 pounds of the stuff a year. Also, interesting note, Korea has a kimchi trade deficit. Korea can't compete with the cheaper imports from China, so Korea is actually importing more of its national dish than they're exporting. Crazy. But getting past the kimchi and into the real heart of Korean cuisine, I'm bringing in an expert.
Did you try 번데기?
Mina Oh is a YouTube star. She takes the subscribers to her Sweet and Tasty TV channel on energetic journeys through Korean food stalls and restaurants, and has built a legion of followers who like to watch her eat. Confession, I am one of them. I already told you, you have the greatest job of anybody I know. You get paid to eat on camera. Yeah. That's pretty slick.
Let me tell you, people love crunchy sound. Right? People love the emotional experience you see from watching you eat. Yeah. So if you eat something, you're like, it's not fun to watch. You have to be like, oh, so delicious, right?
You are kind of a ninja. You eat a lot. And yet, look at you. What's the secret to eating as much as you do? And I'm afraid that by the time I leave Korea, I'm going to be 100 pounds heavier.
It's easy to gain weight in Korea.
Yeah.
I always used to gain 5 pounds at least whenever I visit Korea, but I found out the trick.
Okay.
I eat a lot and I eat every kind of food when I'm filming, but when I'm like living my daily life, I eat vegetables.
I gotcha.
I balance it out.
Okay. That must be the secret that everyone here knows. For all of the food, the noodles, the sauces, the deep fried trouble, and all of that booze, it's hard to find anyone overweight here. Somehow, South Korea has one of the lowest obesity rates in the world. This is the part where you get like a foreigner to come in and eat bugs? Is that how this works? Mina tried to start me out with something called pundegi. It's a kind of pupa and kind of nasty. And I'm catching on to the fact that Mina has a prankish side. I mean, people are eating it, but not her, so I pass too. There's too much good stuff around, and it's a mind-boggling array.
감사합니다.
There you go.
Thank you.
We sample what you might call a Korean pancake filled with cinnamon and sugar, and it's delicious. And I start to see what life is like for Mina when she's working. Her fans pop up all over the place.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
There's lots of things on skewers, lots of things made out of fish cake and rice cakes, lots of sweet potatoes, but the longest line is for something called hutok, a deep-fried savory donut. It's quite an operation, and they're filled with things like kimchi, or in my case, glass noodles, I think. Lord knows what I ordered.
If we don't know what it is inside, we bite into it and we'll find out.
I like it. Cheers.
Yeah? Cheers.
All right.
Ooh.
Hot. See? We got our crunch and a first-degree burn to go with it, I think.
Okay. Look at it steam.
I'm all in on this, though. That's delicious. Of course, it is deep fried, so how bad can it be?
It's a little bit guilt-inducing, but it is tasty.
I don't feel guilty at all. I'm with you. I'm doing this for television. Who work. which means, thanks to Mina Oh, today I'm getting paid to eat. Is this a great job or what? When we come back, we'll go under a different kind of knife as Korea Rising continues.
Tonight it.
You know, traffic in Seoul can be rough. It's a very crowded place, but the people here are so mannered and polite. Drivers have even developed a sort of Morse code. If all of a sudden you see someone's hazard lights blinking for a little while, it means they're saying thank you. Perhaps you let them into the flow of traffic. It's a little different than the sign language we use on our roads back home. But it does leave you wondering, can it all be that good? Have they got it all right?
Yep, pretty neat and tidy. One of the lowest crime rates in the modern world. Not much drug use. The food is great. People are nice. The streets are clean. We didn't see one panhandler on our visit. Is this some kind of Hollywood set? Is this like an Asian Pleasantville? Just consider for a moment the way they solve their parking problems here.
Space is at a premium in the city of Seoul, South Korea, but this takes premium to a whole different level. We're in a parking garage underneath our hotel. As you can see, the cars that are parked along here have been completely blocked in by the cars that they've squeezed in here. However, the workaround for this problem is that none of these people have been allowed to put their car in park. All of these cars have been parked and walked away with the gear in neutral so that when that car needs to get out, you just give this one a shove. As they've just done with this car here behind us, they just pushed a couple of cars out of the way so that he can move on. That's a new one.
Don't lean against the car.
Yeah, pro tip, in Korea, don't lean against the cars in the parking garage. It was funny. I tended to stump Koreans when I asked them to describe the country's biggest social problem.
Problems.
First off, it's really great that you're having a hard time thinking of one. Everybody should be so lucky.
I don't know.
So there's my quest. Where's the trouble? Well, I'm not sure it's fair to characterize it as a societal ill. But after a few days in Seoul, a few glances at billboards, a few drives through the city, you find yourself wondering.
Yes, you see a lot of people that seem very obvious that they've got some work done.
What is with all the plastic surgery? Welcome to the plastic surgery capital of the world. It seems everywhere. Now, it helps that it's extremely affordable. I talked with a woman who had the bags removed from beneath her eyes for $250. In fact, if I got a deal for you, feel like traveling for your procedure, you could do the combo. A little plastic surgery on day one, and then trips to Seoul's many beautiful shopping malls while you recover.
It's an industry now.
Yeah.
It's an industry. You can get, you mentioned tour package. We get people from China, maybe Japan.
They have the whole like a plastic surgery tour. Yeah. And you know, when you walk around, like go to the shopping mall, you'll see some Chinese ladies still have the band-aids. Oh, you've seen them already? Yeah. Oh, okay.
And no real stigma about it.
It's not a taboo anymore. You can freely say, oh, I just got, this done a little here. The conversation is very casual.
It wasn't something everybody talked about. Now, nobody seems to have any problem talking about it.
No problem about it, and everyone's starting to compare. I got Botox at this clinic, it was, such and such, and I got Botox here, it's better there, this place. It's very commonplace. I don't know about the younger generation, but in my generation, everyone talks about it.
Oh, the younger generation is way ahead of you. There are studies that suggest that 60% of people in their 20s in South Korea have had some kind of plastic surgery. 60%. But why? Does it suggest some kind of longing, some inner anguish? Back to Mina Oh for a little perspective.
I think it has a lot to do with media.
And media in Korea is powerful, it feels like.
Like K-pop, Korean dramas, they all look so slim and they have a certain look. And I think a lot of the fans or people who want that look will go and search for the surgery.
There is a Korean ideal of beauty, generally thought to be fair skin, a V-shaped jawline, and big eyes. Like So-hee Kim. Yes, you imagine a lot of young Korean women would like to look just like her. But it can also be as strategic as it is aesthetic.
You know, some people get surgery done before their job interviews to get the kind of looks they feel that the company executives would like to see from certain positions and for certain candidates.
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
By the way, maybe we should note, if an eye job were to cost $250 in the U.S., we might all be in for plastic surgery too. But again, I don't know if that's really some mark on Korean society. In fact, for the signs of trouble, maybe we need to go straight to the top. Korea's societal ills?
We see some, again, corruptive practices, both in government and business societies.
Well, yes, oddly enough, in this mannered, rules-happy place, some in the upper strata have not been following the rules. Just about a year ago, South Korea's first ever woman president, Park Geun-hye, was impeached. It was the culmination of a scandal over her handling of state secrets. And that dust cloud led to the billionaire head of the Samsung Group, Jae-won Lee, sentenced to prison for bribery. This in a nation where if you try to leave a tip on a restaurant table, they'll run after you to tell you you left some money behind. One of the reasons everyone gets along here may be due, at least in part, to the nation's homogeneity. And yet many, like Tim Che, see that as Korea's Achilles heel.
There's no diversity of thought, there's no diversity of background. We're all Koreans, and we're trying to open up to that a little bit. But if you look at Seoul, it's probably the least amount of foreigners that you'll see walking around in the business district compared to, let's say, Tokyo or Shanghai or Beijing. And I don't think that's, or Singapore, right? I don't think that's a good thing for the future of a world where it's certainly going to be more connected than what it is today, right? Fast forward the Earth 100 years.
So I suppose you can find ills anywhere, but I'd have to say they are a little harder to find in Korea than just about any place in my passport. So maybe instead of looking for trouble, it's better to just marvel at it all. And giving more people a chance to see that, well, that's what the Olympic moment can bring to the host nation.
This will be a very real good opportunity for us to really show how much matured democracy, how much developed economy, and how much healthy society Korea has been making. And this is our strong commitment.
When we come back, we will take you to the 38th parallel, the most notorious border in the world, as Korea Rising continues. If you visit the United States and only go to New York, or visit France and only see Paris, you can leave with an almost funhouse mirror understanding of a place. And that's why this stop, up a mountain, hidden in the woods, this may have been my favorite few moments in South Korea.
If you only go to Seoul, you might come away thinking that South Korea is just jet-fueled on neon and smartphones. But there is also a quieter, contemplative side of Korea. You find that if you get a few hours outside of Seoul, like at this Buddhist temple. The organizers of the PyeongChang Games hope the visitors find that too.
A lovely, peaceful detour, maybe at odds with the next stop on our travels. It's a drive to the DMZ. And the portion we're approaching isn't what I've seen so often in news footage. We're at the very far northeastern corner of South Korea, which means we're right along the ocean, right where two Korean corners meet. We have to give up our passports at a military checkpoint. I never like to part with my passport. And we're told to follow our military escort closely up into the hills. So yes, we're a little on edge. Until we finally arrive at the observation point, open the doors, and hear kids. Yeah, kids. With their families on a cool, crisp outing to the demilitarized zone. On a warmer day, they might have sat down for a picnic. They see the soldiers, they know there are landmines not too far away, and they know it's a bitter divide. But it's also a curiosity, perfect for a field trip. Just to get a glimpse of that long estranged family member, truly so close and yet so far.
Well, this is it, the DMZ, that very tense but very thin line that separates North and South Korea. You get here and you realize how ironically named it is. It is a demilitarized zone, and yet with soldiers lining both sides of this 160-mile line, it is actually one of the most highly militarized areas in the whole world.
When Korea split in two, it was a deep, agonizing fissure that cut right through the nation's psyche. Families found themselves marooned from one another, and for a long time they dreamed of a happy family reunion. But that was a long time ago.
Those separated families, the numbers are decreasing day by day because there are not many people left because of the 70 years of division.
When the border went up, it suddenly separated Ji and Chun's grandmother from her sister, and her grandmother spent much of her life dreaming of the two Koreas together again. Maybe that's what the rest of the world expects will happen, but here, it is not the common wish.
No. No. I think they're just too different.
The connections wither and fade, which means the urgency, the desire for a reunified Korea dissipates day by day too. There's a sadness in the way Jian talks about it, but you know she's speaking for many who fear reunification would basically mean caring for 25 million refugees. And even that thought ignores the current reality.
I think many people fear that Kim Jong-un believes that the only way to keep his country is to become a nuclear power, that that's the only real threat or power that he would have, or sway or influence that he would have over the rest of the world.
Political scientists say that nuclear weapons is called mutually assured destruction. Abbreviation is MAD, M-A-D. So it's for MAD to use nuclear weapons. If any country uses nuclear weapons, it's a mutually assured destruction. So what's the use of keeping these nuclear weapons for a country like North Korea?
As a former foreign minister and the former head of the United Nations, Ban Ki-moon has always believed the only way forward for the two Koreas is through peace, rather than war or division. But even he finds it harder to see just now.
Now, considering the current level of tension, it may be a little bit premature, almost impossible to expect that kind of situation may occur, but we should never give up our hope.
And in the meantime, South Koreans adopt that well-worn British mantra from World War II. They keep calm and carry on. And you'd have to say, they carry on quite impressively.
Everything seems to work so well. Everything moves along pretty smoothly. Maybe you can't blame South Koreans if they don't want to think that much about something that could mess it all up, even though it's only about an hour's drive north of here. You know, there's an old Korean proverb, if you speak of the tiger, it will come. So maybe you just don't. I don't know, maybe they're right. Something smells good. Let's eat.